What if the one race McLaren needs to win is the one they've never been able to master? Last year, Las Vegas exposed their biggest weakness and nearly destroyed their season. Now, with the championship on the line, Norris is heading back into the lion's den. Can he conquer the track that nearly broke him, or will McLaren's title dream end in the desert? Las Vegas is not just another Grand Prix. It is the ultimate stress test for a car, a driver, and a team under pressure. The layout may look simple on paper: long straights, tight chicanes, sharp 90-degree turns, but the surface is low grip, the temperatures are borderline freezing at night, and the setup compromise is brutal. Last year, it destroyed McLaren's momentum. And now, with the championship within reach, they must return to the scene of their most exposed weakness. Lando Norris knows it. He's called Las Vegas a trap, a circuit that rewards adaptability but punishes any setup that's even slightly off balance. In 2024, he couldn't get the tires to work, slid through every braking zone, and walked away with one of the worst weekends of his season. And that memory is not just personal, it lives in the data. McLaren spent months analyzing what went wrong, and even now, they're not sure they've solved it. Because until the lights go out on Saturday night, everything is theory. But theory is all you have when you're chasing a world title. Norris enters Las Vegas on the best form of his life: 7 victories, relentless consistency, and a 24-point lead over his teammate, Oscar Piastri. That margin is powerful, but it's not bulletproof. If Piastri wins in Vegas and Norris fails to finish, the championship is back on a knife's edge. That's why this weekend isn't just strategic, it's psychological. Norris cannot afford doubt. Not here, not now. What's fascinating is how the stakes have flipped. For months, Norris was the hunter chasing Verstappen, chasing Red Bull, chasing validation. Now he's the hunted. And that changes everything. He's no longer free to take every risk. He has to protect, defend, calculate. That's what makes Las Vegas so dangerous. Because this circuit doesn't care who's leading. It doesn't care how dominant your car was in Qatar or how perfect your strategy was in Brazil. In Vegas, one lockup, one misjudged brake zone, and the whole weekend can vanish. McLaren's engineers have quietly rebuilt their package for this race. New floor geometry, enhanced thermal range on the tires, and revised aero maps for the ultra-low downforce configuration. It's a bold gamble, not because it lacks logic, but because they don't get a second chance. Vegas runs late at night. Temperatures plummet. The margins between ideal tire pressure and total graining are razor thin. And this time, unlike last year, McLaren is not chasing podiums, they're defending a world championship position. That's what makes this Grand Prix historic. It's not about lights, spectacle, or Vegas showbiz. It's about whether Lando Norris, the driver many said would never fulfill his potential, can now overcome the one track that once exposed him. The only thing standing between him and glory is a piece of tarmac that doesn't forgive anything. Not mistakes. Not setups. Not memories. And for the first time in his career, Lando is not just driving for a win. He's driving for legacy. With just 3 races remaining, Lando Norris leads Oscar Piastri by 24 points in the Drivers' Championship. That gap may seem comfortable, and for most drivers, it would be. But not in this kind of fight. 24 points is less than the value of a single Grand Prix win with fastest lap. In Formula 1, margins like that can vanish in a single Saturday night. 1 DNF. 1 badly timed safety car. 1 technical issue. Norris isn't cruising to a title, he's managing a live fire. Let's be exact. If Norris finishes second in all 3 remaining races, Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi, while Piastri wins each one, the title still goes to Norris by just 2 points. That's how tight this battle is. There's no margin for passive driving. Piastri doesn't just need to win. He needs Norris to stumble. And yet, ironically, that pressure may work in Norris's favor. Because unlike Piastri, who has to attack relentlessly, Norris can play the long game, defend smartly, take podiums, and force Piastri into desperation. Then comes the constructors' context, and here, McLaren has already sealed the deal. They wrapped up the title 2 races ago, a full circle moment after a decade of rebuilding. That result tells one story. Technically, the MCL 39 is the most complete car on the grid in 2025. But inside the garage, the story is more layered. Norris has extracted the maximum from that machine week after week. Piastri, brilliant earlier in the season, has struggled since Singapore. The car hasn't changed. But the driver dynamics have. Since Japan, Norris has outscored Piastri in every single round. Not by luck, but by execution. In Brazil, Norris was flawless: pole in the sprint, win in the Grand Prix, no strategic errors, no drama. Piastri, meanwhile, was caught in a collision with Leclerc and Antonelli and received a 10-second penalty. In Austin and Mexico, the pattern was the same. Norris adjusted faster, qualified higher, and raced smarter. And that's where numbers become momentum, a force harder to quantify, but impossible to ignore. It's also important to note how Norris has improved the one area that once held him back: consistency. In earlier seasons, his talent was obvious, but his weekends were scattered, a pole here, a crash there, brilliant overtakes mixed with errors in pressure moments. This year, he's been different. 7 wins. No retirements. No mechanical failures he couldn't adapt around. No public complaints, even when strategy went sideways. He's not just fast, he's controlled. And that makes him a very dangerous man at the top of the standings. Statistically, McLaren has never had a driver this close to a title since Lewis Hamilton in 2008. And while the spotlight often falls on the story of comeback and redemption, the numbers show that Norris has earned every inch of this lead. Las Vegas won't just test McLaren's upgrades. It will test whether the Norris of 2025 is still a fast kid chasing podiums or a future world champion capable of closing the deal. Las Vegas is unlike any other track on the Formula One calendar. It may look like a simple street layout, but its demands are uniquely brutal. Ultra-long straights punish drag. Tight, angular corners require mechanical grip. And cold night temperatures mean tires remain out of their operating window for laps on end. In 2024, McLaren arrived here with momentum and left embarrassed. The MCL38 simply could not generate the grip needed to activate the tires. That race exposed a flaw in the car's DNA, one that engineers spent a full year trying to fix. The MCL39, by contrast, was built with Vegas in mind. From day one, the team focused on improving thermal efficiency. That meant redesigning brake ducts to better channel heat into the tires, rethinking the floor to stabilize rear-end grip in cold traction zones, and developing a suspension package that could ride over street circuit bumps without destabilizing the car. But even with all those changes, there's a catch: none of it can be tested under real Las Vegas conditions until qualifying. The track rubber, the surface evolution, the nighttime chill, all of that is impossible to simulate with full accuracy. What makes this challenge more complex is that Vegas isn't just low grip, it's inconsistent grip. One side of the track might hold temperature, the other might fall below 20 degrees Celsius. That throws off tire balance. It throws off aero maps. And it destroys confidence. In 2024, both Norris and Piastri complained that the car felt different every lap. It wasn't just hard to drive, it was unpredictable. That is the worst possible condition for a high downforce car like the MCL series, which thrives on stability. But this time, Lando Norris might be the difference. His driving style, ultra-smooth input, delicate brake modulation, and late corner rotation suits low grip better than almost anyone on the grid. He has proven that in Austria, Mexico, and most recently Brazil, where the track was green and the temperature dipped. Piastri, by contrast, struggles when the car lacks feedback. He needs a stable platform. When that disappears, so does his pace. This is why Norris could turn McLaren's historical weakness into a one-man advantage. The team is also approaching Vegas differently from a strategic standpoint. Instead of chasing aggressive outlaps and one-lap pace, McLaren has focused its simulations on tire retention and consistent mid-stint performance. They know overtaking is possible here, but only if you have rear grip out of the slow corners. For that, they've brought a modified rear wing and a new diffuser cutout that increases airflow at lower speeds. It's risky. The car may lose downforce in Sector 1, but gain critical stability in Sector 3, where mistakes become race-ending. What it comes down to is this: Vegas is not a pace circuit. It's a survival circuit. And the car that survives best under temperature swings, surface evolution, and safety car chaos is the car that will win. McLaren learned that the hard way last year. Now, the question isn't whether the MCL39 is fast enough, it's whether it is calm enough. Calm under braking. Calm on exit. Calm when everything around it becomes unpredictable. And if there's one man who's shown that calm under fire in 2025, it's Lando Norris. There's a reason no one at McLaren has used the word revenge this week, because deep down, they all remember what happened here last year. It wasn't just a poor result. It was a complete unraveling. Las Vegas stripped the MCL38 bare, tires failed to reach temperature, strategy calls became reactive chaos, and both drivers reported zero feedback from the steering. That weekend was supposed to be a statement of progress. Instead, it became a scar on the season, one that still lingers behind the engineers' silence this week. And now, imagine what happens if history repeats itself. If McLaren's upgrades don't work under real conditions. If Norris finds himself struggling with tire graining or cold fronts. If he qualifies behind Oscar. Suddenly, that 24-point lead doesn't feel like a cushion, it feels like a countdown. One mistake, one DNF, and the narrative flips overnight. Piastri goes from outsider to challenger. And Norris, after dominating the second half of the season, could find himself under pressure he has never faced before. It's not just about the numbers. It's about timing. Norris has been on a roll, but that momentum is fragile. He has built his lead through rhythm, confidence, and composure. Vegas, however, is a rhythm killer. The stop-start layout, the surface dust, the erratic tire warm-up, it forces drivers to overthink every corner. And when you're leading a championship, overthinking is poison. Norris must find a balance between aggression and control. Too cautious, and he hands the race to Oscar. Too aggressive, and one snap of oversteer could end his title bid. The drama intensifies when you add the pressure of public expectation. Norris is no longer the underdog. He's the face of McLaren. The heir to Hamilton. The driver British media wants to crown. And that spotlight is relentless. Every microphone, every headline, every push notification will dissect his every move this weekend. That kind of exposure can elevate a champion or expose a pretender. And in Las Vegas, the lights aren't just bright. They are unforgiving.